Perfect fit closets. How to use shelf fixed or fixed shelves. We have the product code of SHFF, shelf fixed floating, and shelf fixed standalone. I have my 2020 program up, and on the bottom left-hand side, I've got my Perfect Fit Canadian catalog. We also do have an American catalog that's indicated as PFC US. My current design, I have 3 elevations. I've got an elevation with 3 wall modules. I've also got a fictitious section here, a fictitious wall, and I've got an island module, which we'll be talking about in just a moment. And let's just take a quick peek. All right. On our elevation 1, I have 3 wall modules, 3 tall modules. All of them are 24 inches wide. I'm going to go ahead and choose a couple of different areas and let you know from the basics all the way down to advanced. I'm going to double click our categories, parts, and in our parts, we've got 5 subsections and we've got our parts below. We have panels, shelves, drawers, doors, floating shelves, and parts below. And in our subcategory shelves, I'm going to double click our shelves. And the first section, I have shelf fixed floating, shelf fixed standalone, similar to exactly what we're going to be talking about. Everything in navy blue is a shelf fixed. Shelf fixed comes with 4 to 6 cammed holes. So at the very top of these shelves and the very bottom of these shelves, we've got 4 holes pre-drilled, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. If it's greater than a certain depth, we'll add extra holes to add a total of 6. For 14-inch deep sections, we've got 4 cams. So these are our fixed shelves, and these stay put. They don't move. Once you've locked them into place, they stay put. For our tall module sections, because we have got long panels here, we want to add a 3rd fixed shelf. So all I'm going to do, because I've got modules in place, all I have to do is left-click shelf fixed, drag it into the elevation. As soon as I see my magnet, I can let go. I can let go at any time as long as I see my magnet. I'm going to, as an example, drop it here, and I can now move where this needs to go. We can go ahead and add the shelf fixed. Typically, you'd like to add it in the middle, but anywhere between the top mark or near the bottom mark will suffice. This will prevent the actual panels from bowing even further. If I put the actual shelf fixed in the middle, this can't really bow as well. If I add it anywhere here, again, I'm still have enough space that will prevent the bowing from happening. So again, I can just grab a shelf fixed and drop it in, just like so. So now let's go ahead and delete these, and that's pretty simple and pretty basic. So again, I like to use 3 fixed shelves per tall module when possible. The 3 fixed shelves for tall modules. Now let's go ahead and delete these, and let's go ahead now and try our wall modules. So now I've got a blank space, and now let's add in some wall modules. So I'm going to go ahead to my categories, modules, wall module, drag and drop my wall module. Once I see my magnet, I'll let go of my mouse. And a new dialog box will appear. I'll right click on the illustration. I'll keep this at 14 inches deep, keep it at 24 inches wide, and we'll have a bottom shelf. And for the height, let's change it to 72 5/8. We'll click on OK. And once I drop it in, I'll add one more wall module. But this time, I'm going to keep it at 72 5/8, keep it at 14 inches deep, 24 inches wide, and this time we'll have no bottom shelf. Click on OK. And these are all fully drilled wall modules. For wall modules, I like to have a minimum of 2 fixed points. So we need 2 fixed shelves for wall modules. For this section here, I have 2 fixed points. We've added this one when we dragged and dropped our wall module, but here we've subtracted the bottom shelf. So we can certainly go down to categories, parts, shelves, and add another fixed shelf and drop it in at the very bottom. So there's always more than one way to create these designs in 2020, and that's why we love about this program. I can certainly add another one if I needed some more security. Maybe it's a longer panel. And if it's certainly 83 and 15/16, I certainly like to add 3 fixed points. There's nothing wrong adding more fixed shelves than less. What's really great is if I've got 2 modules in place, either 2 wall modules or 2 tall modules, I can certainly bridge them together using fixed shelves. So let's use a couple examples. So if I drag this all the way to the left, we'll drag this closer this way here, and let's add 2 more tall modules after. So now that we know that we can place these shelf fixed, and what's great about using these wall modules, and I'll just do it again, is that regardless of the size of the wall module, my parts will resize according to the module width. Therefore, I don't have to give it a specific dimension. Even if I increase this wall module, I've got 2 fixed shelves in their place, I can click on my attributes, and I can resize this module, and the parts will resize accordingly. I can right-click the illustration, and let's change this module width from 24 to 30 inches. We'll click on OK. And you can see the 3 extra fixed shelves that I placed have now resized, which is fantastic. All these are fully drilled. So what I could also do with my fixed shelves, because I've got fully drilled panels on each of the modules, is I can drag and drop a shelf fixed, and I can combine them together, like so. Let's try this again with our tall modules. So we'll click on our modules, grab a tall module. I see my magnet to my farthest working left, let go. And let's make this one 24 inches wide. And let's make one more section. And I'll make this one just 12 inches wide. Click on OK. Everything's all fully drilled. And let's just say that I want this 0 inches to the right wall. Again, I'd go ahead to my categories, parts, shelves, shelf fixed, drag and drop it in like so. What's also really cool, because I have these are fully drilled panels, is now I can actually use shelves to combine the two. So it's very similar to a tall module. And now all I got to do for my parts is go into my toe kick, connect to fixed shelf, drag and drop it in here. And now I've got 3 modules. So I've used one module here, a second module here, and then in the middle, I've just used parts. So this works just well as well. So here's another scenario. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these in the middle here. And I'd like to talk about fixed shelves floating. I'm going to go ahead and change the attributes for this particular module. On the right-hand side, instead of having it fully drilled, I'm going to have this half drilled. Let's say we want to bridge them together. So I'm going to go to my panel on the right. We're going to make this one half drilled. So now I've got a clean face on the right side. We'll click on OK. And now I'm going to click on this module here. Oops, made a mistake. There we go. Now I'm going to right click on this module, left click on our attributes, and I'm going to change the panel on the left to no drill. Left click on my variables, scroll down to my panel on the left. Panel left, fully drilled. We'll change it to half drilled. Click on OK. Let's illustrate this for everyone. This is panel half drilled. And we need another panel half drilled note. So I've got a panel half drilled here, and a panel half drilled here. So I got a clean face on this side. Now, if I go back into parts, shelves, shelf fixed, drag and drop, I can put it into these modules, no problem. But as you can see, I can't join them together, not like last time. Last time I had the panels fully drilled, so I can actually put a fixed shelf in between the two, but now I can't. So this leads us to our next section called shelf fix floating. To use shelf fix floating, I can drag and now drop and combine them together. This has the exact same properties. You can see that it's navy blue still, but it's got white sections of this. Shelf fix floating is exactly the same as a regular shelf fixed, except now we don't have to abide by the properties of having fully drilled panels. All the installer will have to do is drill from this section where the hole is, pilot drill through, and now we've got created holes so we can combine the two, and now we've got clean faces all the way down. Perhaps maybe you want to put a vacuum in here and you don't want to have any more holes shown, and that's a great opportunity to use shelf fixed floating. Another thing that you can do is on our islands. So elevation 2 and elevation 3, I have an island. This is using the island module. On our island module, we can use a shelf fixed, drop it in. And sometimes, if I go back to elevation 2, going back and forth between the two, if I drag and drop, let's see if it works, and it stays in place. But sometimes it doesn't fall in place, so I can also use shelf fix floating, and that also works as well. If the shelf fix goes back and forth between the front and back of the island module, always use a fixed shelf floating whenever possible, and that will help you design it using the exact same properties and placing it in the proper portions accordingly. Shelf fix standalone. Let's just say that you needed a part. So let's extend this wall here ever so slightly. Now let's just say that you needed a random part for whatever the case is. Maybe the installer wants to actually combine 90-degree shelves. Maybe they want to combine adjacent walls together. Whatever the purpose is, if you just wanted a shelf fixed, you can use shelf fixed standalone. Maybe you want to order an extra part. Maybe you damaged an extra part by accident and you just need an extra fixed shelf. You can always grab a fixed shelf standalone. Anything that says standalone in our catalog means it's just a part. So there's my shelf fix standalone. I can left click once to drop it, and then I can resize it. I can actually go right back into it. I can right click my shelf fix standalone, left click on our attributes, and this is where I would go to actually resize it. I would go to my variables, and now I can actually give it my depth as well as my width. Whatever width I need it to be, I have a random part. Click on OK. And now I have it dropped in there. So those are three sources or three ways that you can use a shelf fixed regular inside a regular module, shelf fixed floating when I want to combine the two and I have no line boring holes or use island modules, and I have shelf fixed standalone when I just want to buy parts or grab parts for whatever the case is. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at support@perfectfitcanada.com. This concludes our shelf fix portion of our shelf fix floating, and shelf fix standalone.